Hey y'all, thanks so much for joining me in episode 3 of Jay in Transit. This episode is, I would say, a little juicy, but could also be controversial. We discussed vacation flings. A few of us just came back from Carnival, so I'm just giving you a warning. It was definitely one of the scenarios we uh, put this conversation up against over and over again. So you will hear from me, of course, Juana, the podcast host, my friend Brandon, who's a Brooklynite, originally from the Midwest, my friend Temi, who is out of Connecticut at this time, Tariq out of Houston, and Nay. And the last three were my travel buddies in my recent trip to Trinidad. So I hope you enjoy and see you on the other side. I am interested in the topic of flings because, at least in the last few years of my travels, it seems like there have been ambiguous lines when it comes to relationships, especially when you're in the sun with alcohol and lots of sand. So I was interested in exploring the topic a little bit more. So why don't we start with um, what you all think a fling is and what your experience has been with flings in the past? And anybody can start,
A
I,
fling to me, well,
or I can pick.
to me, when you mention a fling, I look at it as something that for the moment, in the moment, that's it. And you go on about your life, and you go on about your business. It's nothing to like try to build from. It's just something that happens, and you're just having fun.
Mm,
Yeah, I agree. When I think fling, I think
okay.
it's like everyone, it's understood to all people involved that this is transient, that there is like no need, or I'm not going to say no need because
Mm-hmm.
I guess things can always happen, but the initial understanding is that this is temporary, and this is like kind of in the moment, in the now, with no real plans of any sort of you know, commitment. And that's part of what's fun of what I can imagine. I'm not much of a flinger. It's fun about a fling is that there's like,
I love it. She's like
but
not much of
not.
a
But what I can
flinger. We're gonna
imagine
use
is
that
like the
word.
ease and fun of it is that like, oh no, this is supposed to be not complicated. I think that's
Right.
kind of what I would imagine the benefit of being is like supposed to be. And I'm saying supposed to be because I've seen from the outside looking in, I've seen some flings not be a little bit more complicated than maybe either person imagined. But I think the benefit from the outside is like this is uncomplicated.
Mm,
This is what happened. This is going on right now. It's fun. We both of us look great. It's sunny. There's alcohol involved.
Right.
Bam, you know.
yeah, I agree with
yeah.
that, and it's just I found that usually one party generally think it's going to lead to more because sometimes it just feels so good they want it to last forever, and it's
Mm,
not. It's usually not reciprocated for the most part. So
right.
I,
Brandon, any
so
thoughts?
yeah, I mean, I'd say a couple things come to my mind. So is when we talk about flings, I feel like there are levels to it, right? So I feel like there is. This is,
Oh,
help me out
okay.
here. I could be wrong, but I think,
No, you're. I don't. I think you're right.
yeah,
I
I
think
feel
you're
like,
right from what I've seen. Keep talking.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think we're all
yeah.
So
gonna
I
Because
feel
jump
like
in.
there could
I'd
be
love
a
to hear the
fling could
levels.
be like everything from I go to a location with my friends or with a purpose, and uh and then an
Yes.
opportunity presents itself, and I'm just gone for the day. They just take me around. We have a great time, see the sights, and that's it. Kind of an unplanned, like experience. Then it can kind of heighten up, or maybe there is like, uh, you know, I know many of us went to the carnival. So that might be like a fling might be uh, a good number of dances, I'm assuming with somebody. And then is this better? Sorry about that. I was going to say a fling could be a good number of dances with somebody. Um, if you go to
Uh,
no,
No,
So,
no,
no,
okay.
no,
I
no,
didn't.
absolutely not. I think, sorry, fling is sex.
no.
Bottom line,
You
no.
said a fling is what?
I think fling is sex. It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a physical attachment that mixes lots of chemicals and feelings at some point, and for some folks, you're able to walk
Yeah.
away, and for others, you can't. But I want to hear more
Yeah,
levels.
no.
What's more levels? Go ahead, Brandon. We
Yeah, I
didn't
know
mean
we're
to
really
jump
good.
on you
Sorry.
like that.
I think the
Well,
third or final point
well,
is that.
can I support my other guy friend here on this chat?
Yes,
Sometimes some girl
please.
can just like break it down. Like I don't know. It's some things happens on dance floor sometimes that you can't just explain. You never. It could be a magical dance. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Like
Because I think that if people start outside of sex, if people are like feeling on each other, kissing, and that goes on for a substantial amount of time, like I'm clear that a fling is like a significant amount of time, right? It's not like two soca songs and like that's not a fling. Like a fling would last hours or be a significant amount of time in someone's say vacation. But that's what I would say would be
Okay.
like the multiple levels of flingage, I guess.
A flingage. Okay.
So what I thought
Love
you
it.
were gonna say with fling, what I when you were talking about the levels, what I imagined when you said that is I can imagine some people flinging and we're just gonna verbify that word all kinds of ways, but like in the
Yes.
sense of like maybe you had a one night stand or maybe you had a magical few hours of kissing and touching and
Yeah.
playful interaction in that way. And then on the other end you can have within like a week have like a more recurrent kind of fling with the same person, almost like a vacation boo.
Mm.
And you might purposely
Mm.
try to like meet up and see each other like a little bit more often and engage in some form of pet play or sexuality through the week, as opposed to it just being more of like a one night or one moment type of things, kind of extending beyond the moment. I thought that's what you were kind of getting at. Um, but I mean, I see what you're saying too, but yeah.
Well, no, you added to his levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
Yeah.
believe from my perspective, right? Usually, I've a lot of time when you go on vacation, it
Mm-hmm.
depends on the mindset you go on. Like, for example, if I go to Trinidad, right? Like the first time I went to
Oh, that's a
Trinidad,
good one.
just swept me off my feet. I had no expectations,
Mm.
right? And everything was just perfect. So every time I go to Trinidad now,
Right.
I'm just going to be in the moment. Whatever happens, happens. I'm not looking for a vacation there or whatever. That's different from like if I were to go to like when I went to Cuba, for example, right? I went with no expectations, right? And when I finally met a girl that could actually speak English fluently, somehow I convinced her to follow me to Havana from Pinar del Rio, somewhere she's never been, or she went when she was a very little kid, and we spent like a few days together. So it all depends on your mindset, on like and what you're expecting. So those are the levels versus like if you go, let's say you go to Colombia, for example, and it's a bachelor party, you go club, you meet a girl, you know, who have a one night stand, that's a fling, and so, like, a lot of those flings I don't remember as a guy, or most people don't remember.
So,
It's
so when do fling? It seems like we're almost saying that like once a fling turns into like a situationship, like it like flings are
Oh,
one time moments, right? Is that what
no, I
I
think
was?
more
No.
like one like someone you meet on vacation, right? Like if
no,
say you're staying at a resort, right, and there's a hot girl like in the room next to yours, like and you just end up hanging out the entire time. That could be a fling. It could be for a whole week, right? And then you just go your separate ways and you never call each other or whatever. That's a fling. And
So our flings then I'm with you, but are flings then just like one trip then? Because when people are starting to plan, like,
Oh,
no,
No,
what?
that's
Kato,
pretty.
finish what you're saying. Yeah, I want to hear what
Yeah,
the rest of what you're trying to say.
no.
what I'm suggesting is if you have a fling in a location somewhere in the Caribbean, hypothetically, and then like a month later, after you have returned home and you're planning out another experience, perhaps with the same person,
Yeah.
I feel like that is shifting from like a fling to like
Vacation day.
a si- yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely shifting. I think that's shifting.
No, I love I love the direction you're taking us in because I as we kind of try to define it, we have said that a fling, is supposed to stay where it started, but we have plenty of examples we can point to, whether it's mindset or what you're feeling at the time or the person you ended up meeting, that it does not stay on the island, on the beach, at that resort, or in those mountains. It does follow you into real life. So what what kind of experiences have we had with that, the fling following
Um,
us into real life?
I met my ex-girlfriend on a cruise, and we dated for 2.5 years. That that yeah.
There you go.
Mm.
That came into real life, and I also I'm
Can I ask? Sorry, Tammy. Can I ask you? This is all in your business, but can I ask you a question? Did you guys? Would you say you guys actually had a fling when you
we
first met with her, or do y'all just kind of meet and
we
hang out?
yeah, we
You know.
didn't.
How
So
would?
it was funny. It was one of those things where my best friend was like, "Yo, I'm turning. I didn't even remember how old it was turning, 25 or something. I don't know." And he was like, "I want to go on a cruise." And personally, I don't like it when people plan trips for their birthday because now you're like making me feel obligated, like I have to go. Anyways, I went, and my mindset was I was going to I was just gonna be a little dog and just try to talk to every girl because I read online that cruises is the perfect place to be promiscuous. So that was my mindset. But then I met this one person that I could not stop looking at, or I just couldn't shake my interest in her. And we ended up just hanging out. Nothing really happened on the trip, but we exchanged numbers and we were pretty much almost inseparable. Even though we lived on like different coasts, I lived in California, she lived in Connecticut. Somehow it followed me back into real life, right?
Mhm.
That
an emotional fling?
I think that's like uh an emotion, but also like an exceptional story. I mean, I don't hear many of those stories, um, or have experienced those stories, right? Like, I will come home with a slew of numbers, some of which I remember getting, most of which I don't. And I just remember the pressure while we're wherever it is that we are, whether, the fling can start, yeah, right here in New York in my backyard as I'm partying somewhere or down in Barbados. And it's like, I want to see you so bad. I can't wait to see you so bad. I
Mm.
want to see you. We come here, it's crickets. And so I've never actually seen the value of bringing that type of emotion back. Oh, and I mean, because for a long time, and I'll speak for myself. Like, I'm not showing Juana in Barbados. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not seeing like the woman who's going to work 9 to 5. You're like seeing barely clothed, very happy, different hairstyles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not actually
Hmm.
seeing who I am. So you've met a
Oh,
totally
Juana,
different
I really
person.
like what you're saying because you've said a few
Um,
other things also.
yeah.
Like I've heard you use the word mindset a good number of times, and I think because fling part of fling is also the vacation, and I think what you're part of it is there is an escapism to vacation in general, like you're escaping your mainland life, whether it's the stress of your
Hmm.
job or like a certain pressures of how you have to be. So I think sexuality is part of that. It's part of that escape and part of that discovery and part of that fun and part of that letting of loose, like unhinging. And like you're right to
Hmm.
say that you are that not just you, but like even me, like your vacation self is separate than, you know, your normal mainland weekday self. And you are interacting with people at that level. So what then is the connection that you create with that person? Because
Right.
who can't feel fun and happy in like the fun and sun and alcohol? I mean, some people can't with bad attitudes, but in general, like, you know, there's a
Yeah.
certain, you know, there's
Right.
just like a certain
Right.
kind of feel that we're all
Right.
kind of in. And to translate that back to mainland weekday, like, does it, you know, I can see why it doesn't cross over.
Yeah. Brandon and Nastasia, what do you guys think? Have you had any experiences that have
No, not
come
me.
back from the beach?
No, like what happened, it stayed, and that was it for me. It and follow me back home because you
Mm-hmm.
know I don't know. I just don't see no point. I might don't even see you ever again. I might don't even come back there. Like,
True.
so it's just like, what's the point? So I just leave it where it's at.
That's, it's real right there. I
Yeah.
can't. I wish I had a story, but no, you know, I have never really been uh, the type of person to, I think for the same reasons, even entertain any sort of like fling, because I'm like, this is yeah, one, not something. Unfortunately, I know it's not as spicy as others, but I would say from the fling side, that hasn't been me. I think um, you know, I'm definitely a person that believes in that there's levels to it. So I, you know, I might have experienced quote unquote level one and level
Mm-hmm.
two in the Brandon levelology, so to speak. But I haven't really gone beyond that. And I guess for me, I've always felt like I've gotten, you know, the level of like excitement and connection and stuff from just the events or the, you know, whatever was going on for the time that I was there. I mean, I know we've referenced Carnival, and Carnival, you know, I felt like just just doing Carnival itself was enough energy. I don't think I had energy to think about.
Right? Agreed.
Like,
And I,
It's a lot of stimulation.
yeah,
Woo!
exactly. And so the first time
That's a lot.
I did
Yeah.
Carnival, like the mistake that I made was that I didn't purchase a ticket to Tobago. So I think the whole kind of wind down, you know,
Oh.
relaxation, time on the beach, you know, that's I, definitely something I got to add to the list next time. But you know, I think for me at least, and use Trinidad as an example, like I think the experience itself was, you know, was amazing in and of it, you know, on its own. So.
So, as you can already hear, we're having a fun time defining what flings were, but my friend Tariq brought up such an interesting point about vacationers and natives to the places that we go visit. So, we did a little sidebar. I did want to flesh out your thought more about the vacationer to vacationer fling versus the vacationer and the native fling, because I thought that was definitely something we brushed a little bit under the rug, but
Mm-hmm.
should get a little bit more light. So,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on that? And I'll also jump in on some of the things that came up for me when you mentioned it.
Well, yeah. Well, so for me, the main thought is like, it's just, you know, a lot of times um, I might vacation to a developing country, and there is a class distinction between me as a vacationer and the people who are actually there. And I think about if cases where, and I've never actually been involved in this, where um, there is enough of a class difference between the two that there is a money exchange happening between
Mm-hmm.
um, between the two parties, even if it is like, oh, here's money to pay for your phone bill, or you've been driving me around and here's some money, or an actual like more direct exchange, like there was some sort of sexual activity and here's money because of that, or you hung out with me for a few weeks and here's money because of that, or there's like, I'm on vacation, you're going to hang out with me and I'm going to like pay for all of your drinks and pay for your dinner and pay for you experiencing this at the same time as me. So not even necessarily a direct money exchange, but you're hanging out with me and I'm going to pay for everything that's happening.
Right.
And I've heard this happening both with women vacationers and, you know, certainly with men vacationers. Across the board. And that's like whether they're married or not married or whatever. Like, I'm immediately like, not that it is a how Stella got her groove back, because that's not what the movie was about, but like, I
Right.
think about that too, because it was still like a single successful woman dating, she ended up dating them, but like had some sort of fling with someone, which on a class level, they were not paired. So
Yeah, and
that's
I
what I was
think that,
thinking.
yeah, I also think that going off of the Stella got her groove back, that really doesn't fall quite neatly into what actually happens when folks go with the mindset of like hooking up with a local versus hooking up with a vacationer, because I do think it changes the power dynamic.
Right.
Once you're out there, like it's almost like I'm in a vulnerable position, you're here just having fun, um and I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I've heard a lot of instances and actually saw it in Jamaica where there were women who specifically attached to like the young, buff, cute staffers at the resorts.
Right.
And I guess it was supposed to be a Stella got their groove back, but Stella took him home.
Stella did take him home. No, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's not the same thing, because in that case, it did come back to the mainland.
Yeah.
Whether it worked out or not, whatever. But she did bring it back. But in some cases, like the idea is that it doesn't, and we're just gonna have a good time, and you're gonna be part of my good time. Like, you're just gonna
Right.
be a passive participant. I'm gonna pay for everything, and that's a thing. That, I mean, I know it's totally a thing.
Absolutely. Would you say that it was predatory or?
I mean, it's hard to say, because I'm assuming that the other person involved, the non-vacationer, is has consent, is of age,
Right.
uh, and has the consent to want to be a part of this, and is perhaps benefiting in some way, whether it is financially or just also having fun. That there is like some form of like consenting. But the bottom line is, there is a power dynamic. There is a power shift, and is that bad? I mean, yeah, that's bad. But like, is it possible? Like, in where we are and all of society and all the things, like power dynamics and power like inequities are going to happen. I
Right.
guess the question is, are you taking advantage of this other person? Um, in your position of like at least financial power over them. So
Right.
that's where it can be unfair.
Right, because at that point, we did this talk a little bit about like flings being like a sexual attraction, an attraction that you leave there,
Mm-hmm.
the enjoying things in the moment now. But like when you're flinging money or like taking folks on experiences that they normally wouldn't be able to give themselves, is there really like a sexual attraction or something there? Like, I
Oh,
wouldn't. I would say that the attraction actually is what you're giving me monetarily versus like what we're physically going to be able to enjoy if we were to stick to, you know, the physical fling
yeah,
definition.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's hard to say. Like, I've never been a participant of either end of that, but
Yeah.
like I think about that. I think about that. Um,
Yeah, I
it's
think that's a good cautionary tale because as I teased Temmie about certain countries having the reputation of folks gravitating towards them for
Yeah,
particular reasons.
right.
So at that point, I'm not really sure if we would call those interactions flings.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Um, yeah, that's a good point.
And it wouldn't just be with Black men. Like there are, Southeast Asia is attached to a certain type of male, and
Exactly. Yeah.
so it's definitely an interesting thing to keep in mind for folks who are going away with the mindset of having a little fun. That sometimes is it really fun if that person can't contribute as much as you do, or is it an advantage point? So
Yeah. Yeah. And is it fair? Like, is it like, is it fair to that other person?
yeah,
Um, yeah, is it fair? Or yeah, and then it just kind of makes me sad that it's like, I feel like as tourists, we contribute to, uh, prostituting kind of developing nations or like people in developing countries. Like there's a contribution to that, um, and like you know, just what does that mean?
right,
What does that mean?
yeah. Also, it's like, do we go on vacation with a conscience?
Right, right, and like actually, I've had the opposite. I've had another experience where I was on vacation in Puerto Rico with my friends, just like having a good time, and there were three men who clearly looked like they were I'm pretty sure they were German, just based off of like accents. And I remember dancing with two of my friends, and we were on the beach. And we were all some form of black, whether somebody's mixed or whatever. Like everybody's is black. One girl was light skinned. There was me and this other woman who was biracial black, and we were just like whatever, we're having a good time on the beach. And I think for the most part, we were the only, even though it was Puerto Rico, we were in a like touristy section, and we were kind of like the only real black-ish or black people there. At any rate, these three your travelers, much older, probably in their 50s, approached our friend who was with us, who was a white dude, and asked, like, thought we were prostitutes and was trying
Ah,
to like get with us, and assumed that him as like the white guy who was with us was either the pimp or maybe another, like maybe he was a, what do you call those?
like another vacationer who's gotten
Exactly.
lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were like, what the fuck? Like, just like, what the fuck? And that's why,
Right.
like, I'm like, I want to bring it up because it's like, they're contributing to prostitution.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, coming from a country that perhaps like has put these developing countries in places
In
of
that
poverty,
position.
and then
Right.
coming back in and like because there are no other options for people, prostitution is an option, and so then you
Right.
go there for prostitution, which is like a double oppression, like a
It
double
is.
uh, kind of taking advantage
Or
of that
right.
power differential.
Right. No, that's definitely a fair point there.
Yeah,
Which is, I think, why a lot of the travel groups were started. Not to get off topic, but because women of color felt unsafe going to these, a
exactly,
lot of countries for the way that they were approached or treated. And so
exactly.
that's definitely something to keep in mind, because most of the times when we go, well, I know when I travel, I look exactly like the person in that country. So
Right, right.
those interactions definitely get awkward.
Yeah, yeah,
Also,
and it's like I do too because Puerto Rico is black. I mean, I know some Puerto
Puerto
Ricans.
Rico's black.
Yeah, they'd be
Yep.
upset for me to, but I look Puerto Rican too. But like,
Yep.
but it's when you're around other travelers and everyone, and that happens to be there, and they're white, and you're like the few black people, black women amongst a bunch of white people. That's when I was confused to be a prostitute.
Right.
So it was like I am in a black country, or I am in a place where like me as a melanated person is like the norm. But and so yeah, but yeah, you're totally right about like um, needing like a travel group to feel safe. And actually, that I think that would be a really, if you wanted to, I would love to be a part of a conversation of like traveling as a black woman and the experiences, like along like race class,
Yeah.
like, or just like race, gender, sorry, dynamics that you've experienced specific to like being a black woman traveler.
Right. No, I think that's an important topic, especially as we're only getting warmed up in our travel adventures. So,
Exactly.
so after our sidebar, we explored bringing your plus one on trips. whether or not you served as a wing person for your trip companions, and the concept of giving passes out when your significant other is out on a trip without you. Temmie started us off on the on thinking about mindset. You definitely go just to enjoy the thing that you paid your money to enjoy, and everything is almost like uh, topping on the cake or an extra bonus. And I think that's like admirable. Um, because a lot of the times I've had different travel partners whose sole purpose has been to grab a man or a woman
Mm-hmm.
on this trip, and it's made it extremely awkward. Have any of you had to deal with like avid flingers, and what have you done to kind of enjoy your experience
I
or
mean, I'll
not?
I'll just jump in here that I feel like uh
Yes.
it sounds like you're almost describing like an experience where you're like the home base where like they out and they're like, oh, where you at? Because this didn't work out. So let me let me find you and like go back to home base. I definitely have played home base before. It can be kind of it can be annoying at
Mm-hmm.
times, but I
Uh,
think to the point of like mindset, uh, the a lot of times the places that you get a chance to go, you also have to be there to like enjoy it yourself. I think one of the biggest mistakes you can make, even when planning a trip with like good friends to go out and enjoy yourselves, is like not to also be planning for like yourself, like wanting to like go into this like, listen,
yeah.
if the, I know my friends, if they are, you know, if they bounce and they're gone, like,
Right.
what's my plan? Like, how am I going to
Yep.
enjoy myself?
I so I've done most of my travelings. I've
Yeah.
pretty much
That's
done
2 point.
solo. But when I've traveled with people and
Mm.
they're like in that mindset to be as promiscuous as possible, I generally just tell them, just let me know, like
Right.
share your location or something, or just let me know if you need me to rescue you, and then I would not worry about them. As long as they have money and they have the keys to the
Mm.
hotel or the apartment, it is what it is. And if I come back, if we're sharing a room and I come back to the room and it's like busy, I'll just keep occupied and just go away. It's like I see like things like that as like it's like going on dates, right? It's like if I'm gonna set up a date, it's like I'm gonna do what I'm gonna enjoy as well
Mm.
as whoever I'm going on a date with. So if I'm going on a trip and somebody's like, "Oh, I wanna go
Mm-hmm.
out here and sleep with as many women as possible," like, okay, cool for you, but this is what I'm doing, and yeah, it's worked out for me for the most part.
Right.
Yeah, I would say it. I think it works out really
Awesome.
well. I feel like this was more of an issue kind of in the earlier, younger 20s when there was more sharing, where you probably shared rooms and shared a lot more things. Whereas like now, with a little bit more money, like
Mm. Fair
I went
point.
on a trip with one of my friends, and they were very clear about wanting to like do their thing and be on the prowl. So we purposely got two different places really close to each other. Um,
Mm.
right, and I wouldn't be able to do that in my 20s because in my early 20s because no. But it just wasn't gonna happen. But now,
Budget. We're
with like with
broke.
and if everyone's an adult about it, I thought that was an excellent compromise, and they got to do their thing, but we still got to like hang out otherwise, and I at no point had to sacrifice my vacation to like accommodate their fun. But even now, like I feel like if one of your
Right.
friends does kind of want to be on the prowl and want to be on the hunt and do their thing as far as that's concerned, I've noticed for the most part it's actually if they're having a positive experience and feeling pretty successful, it's actually a lot of fun. Like you get to live vicariously. You're hearing the stories. You're high fiving. It's actually
Yeah.
like super fun, and then you're like, and then
Yeah.
what happened? Like it's super
It is.
exciting for yeah Yes, and so it actually kind of, I think it
Girl, you
actually
do
makes the
all the
vacation even
girl.
more fun for all involved, whether you're doing that or not. But the when it turns a corner is when things aren't working out, when the disappointment hits, or something happens, or whatever, something
Oh,
happens,
yeah.
because then you're now on vacation having to deal with your friend feeling very upset or very hurt or whatever, and you're like, you know, and obviously you're going to be there for them, but at the same, and then in my head I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't vacation for this, like this, you know, in my head I'm like, that's why I don't bring that here, because I'm just here to have a good time, and it doesn't
Right.
even factor into what I'm doing. So but honestly, for the most part, I haven't experienced the latter. I've experienced the former, where it's like things are working out for the person, and it just kind of makes everyone vacation that much more exciting, honestly.
So I'm going to pivot just a little bit and come back to the fling conversation, but there are a few of us on here who have vacationed with Faye more than they've actually gone to find Faye out on vacation. I'd love to hear about those experiences um, in relation to at what point do you decide like, okay, this is like someone I can continue to vacation with? Or have you ever had an experience where on vacation you've been side-eyeing because
Um,
it's not
I
working out?
You got one, or you want me to hop in?
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
So I'll share a quick story. I um was dating someone at the time, and uh felt, I think at the time it was um I think we were still in a space of like learning each other. I know I hadn't necessarily like made up my mind like, oh, this is definitely like long term. And what I mean by that is a little kind of background. Had a friend who was getting married. They were in a uh, getting married in like a destination wedding, and of course they're in your circle, so your
Hmm.
person you're dating, meeting your friends, conversations are coming up, and what came out of that was like, oh, we should go to the wedding and purchase tickets. The thing about it was that like it was purchasing tickets like 3-4 months out, um, and so and so when
Ah,
the kind of the lesson learned there is that when you're for me was that when I am not necessarily certain about someone, or I'm not certain enough to be making like $1,000 plus investments that are 3 months out in a relationship, um, that it's probably not the best thing to do. Um, and so ended up going, uh, like staying in it, going to the wedding, and it was kind of like a trying time. I think for me, there was a part of me that had like a level of resentment or guiltiness because um, I wasn't necessarily like looking forward to the wedding like I should have been, and I think there was some baggage that I was carrying with me um, over
right,
like the past couple months of like yeah, we got these tickets, like
right.
like like, yeah, and
Can't change the name.
so yeah, I mean, long and short of it was like I think for me, um, that can be like those it depending upon, I guess, your perspective and mindset, taking going on travels can translate into having a significant meaning. And the meaning that I was placing on that was that we were uh, deeper into the relationship, closer down the journey of relationship than where I felt I was comfortable being at that time. And um, came out of that
Hmm.
uh, didn't have the greatest time. It was okay, but I think we both probably had wanted more, and I think there might have been at least baggage on my end because of that, and eventually kind of split ways thereafter. And so I think more of the story for me at least is um, it's a conversation around mindset. It's like maybe not the if I'm hesitant with like the investment in like 4 or 5 6 weeks 6 months out, excuse me, like what can I do in the short term? Like what are like some you know quick trips that are cheaper and some investment. But that's where I'm coming
Um,
Um, any ladies have stories to
got
tell
it.
before
Hmm.
so I went on a trip with my
No, go
ex
ahead, Tammy.
before. We went to crop over in Barbados together, and we were on the cusp of breaking up at the time, but it was a birthday trip. We
Oh,
planned it out
mm-hmm.
a few a few months in advance, and the agreement was she was gonna go with her friend. She got her Airbnb, booked her own thing. We were doing some similar parties but separate parties, and I was going to do my thing with my guy friend, and he was gonna come with his fiance, and we're gonna stay together. But somehow her Airbnb got messed up, so she ended up staying with me. My friend never made it, and before we left, we came to an
Oh,
agreement that we're just gonna go on vacation as just neutral parties, and we're just gonna have a good time. And I understood where she was coming from because it was a birthday trip. She's been looking forward to it. And at the time, I didn't understand Carnival, and but she was all about it. I didn't get what the excitement was all about, you know.
mm.
And I was like, sure, let's just do it. So we got there, and uh, I was for a short period of time, I was kind of resentful a little bit, you know. But then I got over myself, and I realized I was in Barbados. We had a beach house, like a beach condo. Like the water was blue,
from.
the sun was sunny, you know, women everywhere. You can't be upset at that, you know. And and I feel like we left the vacation like
Right.
I don't want to say in love, but I definitely was in love, like more in love, you know. But it was a great time for both parties. You know, we left connected, you know, stronger in the relationship, you know. So I don't recommend planning vacations out in advance, but at the same time I kind of do if you see that person as somebody you want to be in a long-term relationship with.
I wanted to zero in on both you and Brandon's use of resentment. What exactly were you resentful about? Was it spending the money? Was it that you were going to be
No,
doing your own
for
thing
me
and
it was more
he or she
like
was going to be doing it in your face? Like
my resentment wasn't
what what were
about
we
any of
resentful?
those things. It was more like I did like it was what was causing the rift before the vacation. Yeah, from the
Oh, you were
issues
still
before
in your
going into
feelings
vacation. Like the
from
vacation was great. I
before
was
heading in. Got it.
appreciative of being invited to it. You know, I even though I left, I still didn't understand carnival until I came to Trinidad last year. You know, I still had fun and I still really had a good time. And my fun wasn't necessarily with carnival, even though I met for the first like 2 nights, we were acting like we were single, you know. And I went out, I met a few women, you know,
Ah,
but I never really followed through because I was just afraid that if I were to bring a girl back to the Airbnb, I might get stabbed or something. So I I, I didn't try it, you know. But after like the first
thank
couple of
you.
days, I got over it, you know. And but the resentment wasn't because of the money or anything. It was more like, oh, what I was upset about before the vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say the same
Got
thing. I
it.
think for me, it was more of uh, a reluctance to have a conversation about where we stood and what I felt were like um, just different expectations or assumptions about kind of where our relationship was. And so, um, I think at the time
Mm,
yeah, it was a struggle for me to have those difficult conversations or what I perceived to be difficult conversations, and was kind of like, well, let's kick this down the road, kick this down the road.
right.
Um, so
I wanted to ask the question about being in a relationship, um, and you going on your separate boys, girls trips, and the concept of passes. Is that a yay, a nay? We need more questions. Is it conditional? I.e., oh, if it's a girl, you good, boo, or hell no to a dude. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'll let the ladies go first in this one.
Um, no, there haven't been any sort of like passes or what have you, but there also haven't been any boys or girls trips. Or maybe there was like a girls trip, but once again, I wasn't even thinking that way for that to have even been a conversation. Um, but I think I think
Okay.
that's I think it's a fascinating idea, and I think it's definitely like it's all about communication. It really just is, and just being straight up and honest. But speaking from personal experience, I'm not able to kind of really comment on that. Not for me, but what I've seen, I can talk about what I've seen other people, how other people navigate that. But yeah, if someone else wants to speak from a personal experience.
Um, there was a time I traveled. I had a girlfriend. I was in Colombia, and she was like, it was my last night in the country, and she goes, "You should get out there and have some fun." We were on FaceTime, and I looked at her and I was like, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yes. You're probably not gonna go back to this country, so just go out there and live your best life." And well, I took that as permission, you know, but I appreciate it. Like
Okay.
she was free spirited like me, right? I personally, I'm okay with open relationships. It's weird. I dated we didn't date. I had a fling with, well, I had a long-term fling with somebody that was engaged, right? And that was because she told me she was in an open relationship. She didn't tell me she was seeing
Mm,
anybody when we met. And I told her, I'm not looking for anything, just so like straight up. And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, me neither, blah, blah, blah. And 3 months into it, she
right.
goes, I have a boyfriend. And I was like, oh, I kind of figured. But I didn't care because I wasn't emotionally available and it worked. So at like during that
You.
experience, I realized I'm actually okay with
Mm-hmm.
like open relationships. And I don't think most people act on the pass you give them. I think it's just nice to have the option, because like if you use Trinidad for example, right? It's like most
Mm.
people are tired. If you're trying to do all the parties,
Fair point.
you're I don't know where you have the energy. Maybe if you're in a fete or if you're in a party and you like hook up with somebody, in the party, you find a corner or something. Maybe that's different. But I feel like most people were tired. So you giving somebody the pass at carnival, I feel like it's almost a waste because if I had the option, I'd be like, can I can I save this pass for later?
That's hilarious.
That's like
I
wow.
I under, no, I
Yeah.
Listen,
understand that, but like
a lot
personally,
of
it's
people have
like
found the energy,
I'm
Temmie.
under some kind of substance most of the time. I'm like either drunk or it's the rum and coconut water or something. I'm just in a daze most of the time, and the last thing on my mind, 90% of the time, is sex. So
Right.
during
Really?
carnival,
But it's so hypersexual. That's surprising to
it's
me. I just find Carnival to
Okay.
be so hypersexual. Because how's that
Wow.
the last thing? Last, though, really? Tell me,
I am
last thing on
dead.
your
I am
brain?
dead serious. It's like
Last?
like well, maybe
Yeah.
not less,
You
but like
know? Let me.
be like
Last
so
though.
I like carnival is still fresh in my mind, right? And I just remember 50% of the time I was intoxicated. That's a fact. 50% of the time. 50% of the time, whatever I was saying to you guys, I probably don't remember, or I remember bits and pieces of it. And when I do have the energy, when I'm awake, or when I have a little time to take a nap, I just want to nap. I don't want any whatever. Like, yeah, it crossed my mind a few times, but like for me, it's different. I'm not like so a lot of guys. Yeah, a lot of guys,
That's
it's
right.
more like I know some people
He
where
chose
we go on
sleep. He
vacation and
chose
it's like a
sleep.
sport, just try to see how many girls they can sleep with or how many girls they can talk to. I'm just like, I don't need to, what's the word? I don't need to, yeah, I'm very confident with myself or whatever, and I'm just
That
like,
level of
I don't need to
affirmation.
prove my my manliness to anybody, to be in competition like that. So I'm just there. I'm in the moment. If I hook up with somebody, that's fine. But most of the time, like I said, 90% of the time, it's sex is not on my mind. Like, and maybe I'm just weird. I will see a hot girl, I'm like, yo, she's fine, and then I'll like look away and just keep going. Yeah, yeah. But I like the
And he
concept of
saves that
passes though
pass
because
for
I feel
another
like
trip.
you
Yeah.
don't want somebody to be resentful if the relationship doesn't work out and saying like, "Oh my God, I remember when I was in Greece or whatever, and I met this Greek god, and it could have changed my life or whatever, and but I was dating Tenny, that motherfucker, blah 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 blah." Personally, I don't want to be that guy. So
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Brandon and Nay?
Thoughts on
what are
what?
your thoughts
I
on
I
passes?
don't on
Uh,
passes I don't know how I feel about this. If I care how do I say this? If I if I would be willing to give someone a pass, then I think
Hmm.
I would me personally be evaluating how much energy I want to put into the relationship.
Really? Oh, you feel like it's already over if you're giving someone a pass?
No, it may
Gotcha.
not be like it's over, but I don't in the long run, I don't know if I how I would feel like I could never see myself giving a pass to my wife,
oh,
right? And and so like if my if my
Hmm.
goal me personally is to like find a wife or someone that I'd be like, nah, like like that's not something I like. No, that's mine. Um, uh, then if I was to consider that, that would make me like if I'm in a mindset to consider giving someone a pass, I need to pause and think about like, is this the relationship that I want to continue investing time and energy in, or maybe it is for the time, like for this moment. But I think for me, it triggers a conversation of like just being really clear about like where we are, where we're headed, what this
let
means
me let me ask you a question.
for me.
Interesting. I'm
Do
opposite. I'm probably
do
opposite.
you think your answer would change if I tell you most women when they go on vacation they're like trying to cheat or have flings? That's what I've been told by a lot of female friends. That's
Mo?
what I've been told
What?
by my sample, based on my sample size. I know that was a general statement,
Most
but based on
women?
my, yeah, based on my sample size, most
So
women
yeah,
try
Okay.
to like
I love
got
the
cheat
it.
if I go
disclaimer.
on vacation.
I so I, to be really like I would be comfortable. Let's go back to like the levels. There's levels to this. I feel like in
Nah,
the
we want to hear these
flingology, if we go
levels.
back to what we talked about, I think I would be more comfortable with like a level one, a level two.
Yes.
I could give a pass. on some like I know you if you're going to carnival, I can give a pass up to level 2. You're gonna be drunk like 90% of the time, you know. But I don't know if I would be like here is your 100% free pass. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'm in that space right now.
That's interesting. I feel like for
Yeah.
me, it would be easier to have that level of like honesty and trust with like someone I would consider my final partner. To me, that it would be easier to give them a pass than it would for like a boyfriend that you're just kind of working
Hmm.
things on with. You know what I mean? You're not quite
See,
there. Like I feel
I
like we're because it's if you're given you're in one or two places if you're talking
Mm.
about being open. Either it's like all right, we kind of not. I don't really care about you that much, or it's like I care about you so much that I want you to still be able to experience who you are, as a human outside of like our relationship. And if that's what you want to do, but you know where home is, I feel like it's more. I don't know. In my mind, I think passes make sense once you're with your person because if they've been real and true to you for like a decade
Right.
and they want to go do their thing, let them do their thing. I feel like that's
so
they're being
I
honest with
I
you.
had a friend. He and his girlfriend, they would go play mask but they would play in different bands, and so uh, I think they which I thought was like
Uh-huh.
smart, where they were like, listen, whatever happens for you during these next couple of days, enjoy it, have fun, but like within like the experience of like carnival, right? And then after they still had an opportunity to like work off any
Mm-hmm.
any passion, any energy, um, in their own way, right? And then they wouldn't see each other the next day. And I think that for me seems like a good compromise. But honestly, I also want to say like I don't think I have been in a situation where I have had that conversation or like really sat down and talked about like what uh trust and like how that would work.
I just feel like it makes the conversation easier, right? It's like, oh, how was your vacation? It was cool. Versus, how was your vacation? Oh my God, you won't believe what happened in Trinidad. So I met this guy, blah 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 blah. And then what happened? And then what happened? And then like, I'd rather have her tell me the story of like if they hooked up or not. If they hooked up, was it meaningful? Was it good? Was it bad? Blah blah blah. Versus none of
Not did
no no
he just
wait,
Yeah.
he
not
just said good or
necessarily
bad.
not
You want to
necessarily the
hear the
details,
details?
not necessarily the details, right? But like,
He just said good or bad.
but yeah, but
Yeah, just
like
good or
I
bad.
part
mean, you
of
might as well
I
just
like
save
it.
time.
part of like being with somebody is like
No.
living experiences with them, no matter how bad or how crappy it is. So it's like you might hate it in the moment because naturally we're all like possessive and selfish or whatever. But if it makes them happy and like if it makes the relationship a little bit more trusting, I'm all for it. Versus like where you have to hide and
Yeah.
and not be true to yourself and stuff like that.
Was there any other topic that you wanted to throw
Haven't
out
gotten
there for
into.
us to talk about that we haven't touched
I
or
I don't think
yeah.
so. Um,
I would say,
no, I mean I'm leaving right now. I'm leaving with like thinking about this pass, like the rules behind like this pass, this coupon that you, you can get. Yeah, like
Oh,
and how that will
the
work. But
coupon.
The boyfriend girlfriend fights that happen at Carnival, and I'm gonna just throw it out there. I feel like Carnival is a different kind of
mm-hmm.
vacation, so I think it's a lot easier to not be tempted on your
Ooh,
just normal, island or your normal kind of
yes.
hiking trip or whatever. Like Carnival is, sexual. It just is. It's a lot of thongs, a lot of fishnet. It's a lot of just everything is out. So, um, so like Yeah. So I mean, going into it, was the first timer going into it. I definitely like read
Body
some
paint.
blogs, or I'd heard about the boyfriend girlfriend fights that happened at Carnival, and everyone, and then I witnessed it. Then you see it, then you see it happening, and like,
Ooh.
oh God. They're harsh. They're definitely harsh, and I would imagine if there isn't a situation where
Ooh.
there is like a pass or a green light or a white flag or whatever, I can imagine going to a place like Carnival with a romantic partner being a little difficult. I can see why, especially if there's certain personalities that can be more possessive. There's certain more personalities that, and then people also have their
Yeah.
history and their background. Maybe someone cheated last year, and that type of dynamic is like spilling in. I don't know, but it's like you see these relationship fights, and I before even going in.
Yeah.
Wow, there's the music again. Are we okay? It's like the award ceremony and the music is playing. Uh, Honorary, thank
Woo.
you, Academy.
Yeah, we're good.
But yeah. But
I
I
know it's
remember
like,
reading like
and
don't
wind
go
down. No.
Carnival with your boo. Like just don't do it because that's just like not the place and things are gonna happen and blah blah blah. So
I
I wanted to add that in there.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. But that's just me. I'm weird. I'm
Mm.
different. So
So, to round out our past conversation, I had a sidebar with Temmie about why he was so open to open. I want to talk about a little bit more about why you say that you're different.
okay. Um,
Um, some of the stuff that you'd already mentioned is about open relationships and a lot of communication. And so I'd love to hear more about that and how you actually got there.
sure. I well, so my background is very interesting. Like I'm from Nigeria, where it's like it used to be a man's world. Well, it used to be a women's world, and
Mm,
now it was a man's world, and now it's just getting more progressive. But it's far from what it
hmm.
can be. But I was raised by my sisters, so I guess that like I don't know how to say it. I think I grew up a lot quicker than I should have grown up because
Hmm.
one, I'm one of four. I'm the last born and I'm the only
Right.
son. So
Ah, okay.
it's like growing up I watched my sisters like fight over petty stuff and I'll be like, this doesn't mean anything or whatever. And like I learned how to be with myself and learn from them and
Hmm.
learn that a lot of things is not worth competing over or um, is not worth the effort that people put into a lot of things. So I think I
Right.
kind of apply that to a lot of areas in my life. And when it comes to
Hmm.
dating, I grew up treating women how I expect people to treat my sisters for the most part. So that kind of factored into my dating life. And the older I got, I realized it's just like when it comes to being in an open relationship or whatever, I feel like people are going to do what they want to do regardless of who you are and what you bring to the table. Like you can't really change people's behavior because you think you're awesome or whatever. You know, what you're gonna do
Right.
is just encourage secrecy and people sneaking around. So I feel like it's better to to have those conversations with your partner
Right.
versus just wonder
Hmm.
what they're doing behind your back. And it's not like I've been hurt before, whatever. No, I think I got comfortable with open relationships when I realized that I was willing to be in an open relationship with somebody because I really cared about them that much, and I felt like they
Okay.
just wanted time to do what they want to do because they were young, And I felt like,
Mhm.
okay, if you want to be single or whatever, um, maybe you don't have to be completely single or whatever, you know. But she thought, oh, I was just saying that for me, you know. Then I realized, okay, there's nothing I can do. Then I thought about it after that. I met a girl who had a boyfriend at the time, but I didn't know when I met her.
Right.
And we actually we did whatever we were doing for about a year, you know. And I
Mhm.
knew for like 8 months that she had a boyfriend or a fiance.
Got it.
So, and I was like, okay, maybe I am comfortable with open relationships.
Well, were you comfortable with, or are you comfortable with open relationships, or is it because you are yet not in a space to fully commit to someone? And I'm only asking that because in some of the conversations we had during this podcast was that at what point you were emotionally
Unavailable.
unavailable. So did that play a factor? Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't date for most of 2019 and half of 2018 just because I wasn't mentally there. And 2020, I said I was going to date because I feel like I was when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend was like my first heartbreak, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
and when I dated my ex, I went into it any without holding back very much. It wasn't like I did my fees. Like I jumped off a reef into the ocean just with no protection or whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
exposed myself, and I did that intentionally because, like I said, I was raised by my sisters, and my sister always say whatever is worth doing well. So um, now 2020, I think I'm in a space to date, but I'm not rushing into anything, and I still
Mm-hmm.
think I'm okay with open relationship as long as there's open communication about it and there's like honesty on both sides, you know, and there'll be ground rules, obviously, you know, but yeah.
So I will say that a lot of the points that you all brought up in terms of open communication, whether or not passes were a thing, and mindset come across borders or sand stays on the beach. So as we close, are there any tips for future flingers that you would like to leave?
Wait, are there what?
Tips.
Any tips, either for or
Oh.
against flingers?
I mean, I think just keep if you're in a relationship, I mean, just keep it honest. Just be absolutely honest always with yourself. Like if you're not capable of flinging, don't do it. If you get too attached and that's not you, then don't do it. And if you're in a relationship, be honest with the person that you're in a relationship with in terms of what are your intentions. That's it.
And keep some coupons on you.
Woo! We're gonna color code them too.
Maybe this is more for the guys. Just know that the other person has
Okay.
feelings and emotions and factor that into your decision to be an asshole
Mm.
or not. But that's it. I don't know.
I think my parting tip is goes on top of Tariq's, excuse me. There are women out here who think that um we can fling and like that's it, but they really do attach a lot of expectations to that attachment because for them sex is an attachment. And so whoever asked me, if people were to ask me, and they're probably not asking me now, but I'm like, if that's you, then flinging ain't for you. And that's that. So, on that note, thanks again. I'll probably come back to you all for another recording of something
No
else just
problem.
as
Thanks for
juicy,
having
but
me.
I appreciate your time
Thanks,
today.
Juana.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. And that rounds out my third episode of J in Transit. Fling it up. We had a lot of fun with that one, and I hope you did too. Give me a follow on Instagram at J in Transit, and be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Till next time.